tell what that is. Is that food?
Mm-hmm.
And these are pictures that are in the bride's bedroom. She'll get some more pictures of her soon. Yeah, see, there's the bed, her bed. There she is. Someone's making up her face for her.
Are you serious? Wow.
I believe this is one of the attendants. The bride was very plain. She was not raving beauty. There she is in her headdress. Or it might be one of her attendants. I can't remember. She either signs the wedding papers in her bedroom, or I think she does before she comes out. And once she signs the papers, then she comes out. And by the time she gets out there now, the men have all put on over their dark suits that they had on. They've all put on these rich, beautiful Indonesian costumes, so that when the wedding party is all together there, they're quite resplendent. Yeah, that's her attendance. That's the bride. Looks like she's coming out now. The thing that blew me away was playing We've Only Just Begun. It just blew me away. So see, they're not dressed for her now. That's him and her. And people will come up now and start congratulating them.
Now, did they know each other before they got married? Or?
I don't know that. I can't. I don't know if it was an arranged marriage or not.
Were they given gifts of coins?
Coins?
Yeah.
Not that I know of. Why? Is there a reason?
A wedding where you went up and you handed the bride. They usually want gold coins, but most people don't.
Where and when did you get the idea for this book?
Well, I was sitting in the Mirac Bar in the Borobudur Hotel. I'd only been there a few days. I was sitting with my husband and a Belgian gentleman who was there to teach Indonesians how to butcher. And these tantalizing hot hors d'oeuvres on the bar in this opulent barroom. And music, they call them the Batak singers. And they're three men they're actually from Sumatra. And they come around and they take a serape and put it around a woman's neck, and then they serenade her. And that's supposed to be a great honor. So they did that with me. And it was just like there was just people there from all over the world, and all these different languages were going on. And I just said to myself, this is just too much. I've got to write about this someday. I'm going to write about this. So that's when I first got my idea that I would do it.
Did you write while you were there?
No, I did not write except maybe an occasional note or something. I was so busy living the experience and learning the culture that I just didn't do that till later, after I left. And I was working on something else, a novel that I had wanted to finish for a long time, but because of the way I worked before I went there, I could only do it in dibs and dabs.
The name of your novel, Ladies of the Borobudur, is referred to as a novel told in stories. What does that mean?
Well, it means that each story stands alone, but when you read the book taken together, it's a novel. And it's sometimes called linked stories, sometimes it's called interrelated stories. Joy Elect Club was one of those. Probably the very first one that was like that was Chaucer's Tales. And Ray Bradbury and Faulkner, they started out writing those kind of books.
And how did you link these stories together then?
Well, there's certain ways you do this you can do it with character, and what I did was I made some characters major in some stories and they'd be minor in others, and vice versa. You can do it with a place, and that was the Borobudur Hotel. We lived in the Borobudur Hotel for 5 months before we got our housing and our papers and everything, and most people did when they were there. And so the Borobudur Hotel was in every story. And even when they moved out, it was such a wonderful place. They were always going back there for dinner or to take a swim, or somehow it would be mentioned. And of course, the piano player who was telling these stories, I can give her little cameos throughout so that we would remember that she is the one who is telling the stories. She's the observer. She's seeing all this about these people. And so you can also do these kind of stories using a family, or a particular object, like there's some movie called The Red Violin, and there's stories, yeah.
So how did you create your characters? And are you one of them?
Well, you know what Flaubert said about Madame Bovary, c'est moi, is me, I am in every one of them. The basic thing I started with was that there was 3 kinds of women there. One who would never stay. You just saw that with Lisa. She would never have stayed. There were other women there that wouldn't stay because the culture was more than they could bear. They wanted to be able to go to their mothers for Sunday dinner and the drive-in for a hamburger and all these kind of stuff they couldn't do there, and they just made their lives miserable of their husbands, so then their husbands would have to quit and go home. And that was one kind of woman. Then there was the kind of woman who stayed within her own little Americanness. You only played bridge with the Americans, and you went to the American club and swam, and you played mahjong with the Americans, and you didn't really make friends. The only Indonesians you knew would be your servants, and I would say that was most of the people there, and I think it was like a protection against the culture shock for them. And then there were the people who really wanted to know what Indonesia was all about and explore the beautiful culture and learn the language, and because you never know a people until you know their language. And so it was, I based them on 3 different kinds of people, and then I just mixed it up. Certain things actually that are in the book really did happen over there, but I gave them to other people than the ones that it did, because at that time I thought I could be sued. Those people are probably all dead now. I'm the only one alive, But anyway, yeah.
Okay. Indonesian history, religion, and politics are woven into these stories. They are rich as well with mystical belief and cultural elements. Did that take a lot of research?
No, because I was living it. I was just living it. The biggest thing I did about research over there was I bought a lot of books that I probably would have been able to get in the United States about different cultural aspects. But because I was there living it, I knew what I would be wanting to write about when I did write the book that I didn't know about. So I backed it up with books, and as particularly in Singapore, I could find, just stumble over the right book for. So I came home with a lot of books, and the research there as I needed it. I learned a long time ago, you don't do research first. You start writing, and then when you come to something that you need to research it, because otherwise you're just researching.
You talk of culture shock as a major element in the book. Could you define what you mean by that?
Well, it's something that's different totally from your life. You go into a country where, and it's their country, you're their guest, and you have to follow their rules. And, they once had something they called the ugly American. Americans don't always want to follow other people's rules. And so it was a shock, but actually it can be culture shock just moving from the East Coast to the West Coast. Or if we move to Wyoming or Montana, or something totally different from what we grew up with.
True. Your resume shows that you've published a wide variety of written words. Why is that, and how do you define yourself? Novelist, playwright, essay writer? What?
Yes.
What?
Well, I started out, I wanted to do it all. I couldn't focus on what do I want to be. I wanted to be a journalist, and I did, and I wanted to be this, and I wanted to write stories, and I wanted to learn about writing, and I wanted to be able to write articles about writing and so on. And for a long time I was very guilty about that. I thought, well, you should pick one thing and stay with it, and then you'll be successful with it. But it wound up I just did a whole lot of different things, and now I'm not sorry.
When did you start writing, and how did you develop as a writer?
Well, when I was 3 years old, I was sitting there with a pencil and a paper, just scribbling, I guess. And my mother says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm writing." And then when I was 8, I was at my great aunt and uncle's in the country, and I was up in a sumac tree, and I had little pieces of yellow paper, and I wrote something called "Barbara Goes to the Country." And I went in, I was very excited about that, and I told my aunt that I had just written a novel. And so when my mother came, I told her about it, and she cried because she said that's what she always wanted to do. And I said, well, that's what I'm going to do with my life. And I suppose, back to answer your other question, if I am anything, even though I've written plays and all kinds of things, I am probably most comfortable in a novel, writing novels.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice story. I'm going to make us all want to help our grandchildren publish a little book on yellow paper. As a teacher of writing most of your life, how did that contribute to your writing career, or did it?
Sometimes I don't even know how I got into doing so much teaching. I did much more than I wanted to. I think I stayed too long at the fair. I taught longer than I should have. I enjoyed every minute of it. I enjoyed helping it. I was good at inspiring people and motivating them, especially people just getting started in writing. And but I gave too much of myself and wasn't doing enough of my own writing. And now that I'm older, I wish I had stopped a number of years earlier. If I have any regrets, that's the one regret I have.
What advice would you give novice and developing writers?
Write, and pay no attention to rejections.
That's harder to do than say, huh? As an octogenarian now, where do you see yourself regarding your writing life? Haven't you done it all? And is there anything you're burning to do?
Yeah, I want to do all of it again.
Again?
Yeah, I just want to keep writing.
Okay. And what are you working on now? I might have cheated because you gave me that information in the bio, but tell us again.
Well, I'm finishing up a novel about Atlantic City in the 60s, sort of in the interim time after Boardwalk Empire. 30, it's Atlantic City 30 years later when it's on a slide downhill and it's going to become a ghost town if they don't do something. And this was just, it was before they decided to get gambling in there. And I started writing that novel in 1962, and it's been through many versions, and it was my thesis for my MA degree, and I expect to publish it late this year. And so that's sort of, when I say I have a lot of unfinished work, there are a lot of things I sent out over the years that I finished, but now I look at them and I say, oh, that's not what's right. I know just what to do with that. So there's a lot of that to do, but what I really want to be doing, and I've started on, is a memoir trilogy. It's 3 different books about my life. And the first one's called Passion for Words, and The Infinite Longing. And that was all my life. All I ever wanted to do was write. And I discovered maybe 5-6 years ago that my successes and failures as a writer seemed to parallel the women's movement, and things that were happening better for women than my career was better or whatever, and things that held me back were things that held women back. So that book is going to bring that into it. And then the second book is Surprise You're Old, which is Rumpelstiltskin's solution to the tarnished golden years. And that's the things that have happened to me since I got older and less mobile, let's say, and the awful things that happen with people and the good things that happen with people, and how do you deal with all that, and how do you deal with unexpected health problems, and just, trying to put a sunny, not maybe sunny, but a brighter edge on a sad topic. And then the third one is called Caterpillars, Butterflies, Miracles, Oh My, What My Soul Really Wanted. And I've become a lot more spiritual in the last years too, and so it'll be like a spiritual book.
Interesting. What philosophy would you like to leave us with? I'm sure you have one.
It's never too late to be who you are. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Barbara. Are there